Welcome back to Share Truth, Apply Scripture. I'm Jordan Chambly, joined by Wesley Wildman and Cedra Sarton. And we're continuing. What are you laughing at something?
I'm sorry. I just feel like you kind of struggle. You're getting better, but you struggle with my name every time.
No, I'm just saying it. Cedra Sarton. Like,
I know, but people,
there you go. People know who your name.
That just seems to be like a theme in my life. People struggle with saying Cedra Sarton together.
You should have thought about that before you picked that name.
I didn't pick it. Actually, I kind of did because my dad adopted me. And
yeah.
So we kind of did change it. So
yeah.
Another story for another time. But I'm sorry. I got tickled because I started thinking about it because I feel like you struggle with it every time.
I'm so sorry. I'll try to do better next time.
All right,
Wesley, we need to talk about this.
You're doing great.
All right. Anyway, so we're continuing our discussion on
trying to.
My goodness gracious.
I'm sorry.
On spiritual decluttering, but we're moving past that. If you want to listen to that first segment, please go to engagemagazine.net, click on the radio link at the top of the page, and you'll find this podcast there waiting for you. Segment 1, it's about spiritual decluttering. These guys had a lot of great things to say, and I just opened it and closed it. So
oh, you did a great job.
No.
But if you want to see our smiling faces when you go, you can always click on our YouTube channel, scroll a little down on the page on engagemagazine.net. You'll see YouTube, and then you can watch us if you want to.
Yeah.
Yes, and tell your children, your grandchildren, or even your youth pastor about the work we're doing here at AFA with the Project Engage Magazine, because you're listening to the program Share Truth, Apply Scripture. And what we try to do here is help build the worldview of high school and college age students and young adults. And other people listen to it and they can benefit from it too, but our focus is that group right there. And so help us do your part in getting our content in the hands of the young adults.
Yeah, and we really appreciate it when people do that. So let's say that we have decluttered our lives spiritually.
Okay.
We've gone through everything that was on our plates and all the good stuff. We've looked at our mahogany bookshelves full of theology books. I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do this. Yeah. But we've given some away or whatever. We've cleared the plate and we've made room for the things that are most essential and most important spiritually for us. Then guilt comes. And people come to us and say, well, I see that you're not doing this thing anymore. What happened? Are you okay? Do I need to pray for you? That can happen many times. How can we find reassurance that was the best decision? And how can we deal with that guilt that may come when people raise those questions?
Cedra.
All right, then. Just throw it over to me. Honestly, that's a question that I would like answered, because sometimes when I have to turn people away when they need help, I feel so guilty. That's that's the worst thing to me, when people ask me, "Can you help?" and I have to say no. Right. Like, I think about it forever. Like, I feel so bad about it. So if you got that answer, please give it to me.
No, well, I don't have the answer. I mean, it's going to be an individual answer on an individual basis, because different people will feel differently. I tend to be the kind of person, I might get just a little offended if people insinuate, well, you're not doing your job spiritually, you're not pulling your weight or whatever. And I tend to get a little defensive. That's just me. I don't necessarily feel guilt, but that's not out of possibilities. But I think one of the things we should go back to is the fact that God isn't giving us these tasks and being like, look, if you don't accomplish this thing, my whole plan is falling apart. Yeah. If you don't hold your line where I put you, then the devil won or whatever. Yeah. That's not the reality. The reality is he's already king. He's God. We're not winning battles for God. We are fighting on the battlefields he's already won. So there's no reason to feel guilt, especially feeling guilt for obeying God when he says, look, this good thing that you're doing, sacrifice it, because what is most important for you right now is this other thing. So there's no reason to feel guilt, and there's no reason to feel remorse or defensive even when someone comes. It's a good opportunity to say, well, it's not essential for me right now to do this. It's not what's best for me or the Christians around me. And also, I have faith that whatever I was doing, whatever I was contributing to this situation or to this task, that God is more than sufficient to fill the hole.
Yeah. I think if you get rid of anything in your life, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, if you get rid of anything that was causing your spiritual mindset to suffer, your Christian walk to suffer, you shouldn't feel guilty about that.
Right.
And I think it's just, to me, like, it should be, I guess it should be common sense that if you feel like this thing is taking up so much of your time, and then you realize you're not having as much time for the most important things in your life anymore, that you have to get rid of it. And I guess you shouldn't feel guilt about those things.
Yeah.
Well, and this whole process that we're talking about is part of the maturity of a Christian, because like we mentioned in the last, or earlier we talked about how, there's a point where you're doing so much and you're doing a lot. Well, now you've got to, and then you realize, well, look, I'm doing a whole lot here, but I'm doing these things for me, and I'm not doing these things for the Lord. And therefore, our new season comes and you get married and you get a spouse, and, time changes and all that. So this whole thing is about that. But when it comes to feeling guilty for something, or conviction of anything, there's a difference between a guilt and a conviction. Guilty is, the Lord's told you something to do, and you're doing what He told you to do, but you're being pulled in different directions, and you feel like, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. A conviction is like, I know what I'm doing is not what the Lord wants me to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's like, oh, wait. So like being convicted about things, there's a difference there. So, and when it comes to someone asking us about things that we do in our life and speaking in their life, I hope that person is very close with us, because, otherwise, for someone to speak in your life and tell you you're not doing something you ought to be doing, if a person doesn't know the whole picture, understand the whole all the moving parts, then that's a little rash or harsh on their part. But the person that people that are around you, that are close, that you talk to, that are your friends, that are your family, that you can count on good advice and good feedback, I'd be real slow to neglect those people, because they can see things, and sometimes we can overlook.
Well, if you are though feeling guilt and you're thinking that people are being helped by this ministry that I'm working with, well, if you're alone and working in the ministry, I think that's a time to start recruiting help. To be able to fall back. But I want you to think about it this way: if you are not spiritually being fed, you're not going to be in the place to spiritually help, to help someone else in their walk. Because if I'm sick and I'm in the hospital, I'm going to want a doctor and a nurse coming to help me. I don't want another patient in a gown to walk around the corner. I'm just here to read your vitals. That's not what I want. So you need to be in a place where you can help people. But you can't really, you're not in that place if you're not yourself walking with Christ the way you're supposed to.
And that's discipleship.
Yeah.
We've just had two programs on the Great Commission, and at the core of the Great Commission is discipleship. And I would venture to say, since it's the Great Commission, it's for every Christian. As you go, be making disciples. I think maybe that's the core task. Like, as far as things that you do on a horizontal level, from Christian to Christian, your ministry is to disciple. So maybe that's another litmus test. If this good thing that you're doing is not a discipling thing, maybe you need to rethink it. But also, just because that you're not doing something in the way that someone else might think you need to be doing it, there's no cause. As long as you're obeying God in what He's given you to do, you be confident in that.
Absolutely. Well, you think about this area of things that are essential for Christians. You got two different kind of relationships. When you become a born again, Bible-believing Christian, you submit your life to Christ, and He is all you need, and you realize that everything you want to do, everything you do, you want to please Him. At that point that you've come to that, every relationship is in one or two categories. At least for me, it is. And that's that they're Christians, and this is Christian fellowship, or these are people who are non-Christian, and my entire goal of even entertaining a relationship at all is to help draw them and guide them toward Christ, and in different ways, whatever. But I don't ever see a communication or a conversation with a non-believer as just having it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just going about my way. I'm constantly wanting them, because if they're not reconciled to Christ, I know what it's like to not be, and I know what it's like to be, and I would want everybody reconciled with Christ. So that's when sometimes I don't quite reconcile how sometimes people can just go about their life knowing that a friend or a family member or somebody who is just living a habitual sinful lifestyle and not have any draw or heart to just go, man, I hate it for them. That's not what they want. And then do everything in their power to try to just to go about their life and kind of, now situations come up and you have to, distance yourself because of, maybe because of someone's actions, but you can always pray for them. But your heart is always turning for them, knowing that they're distant from Christ. So for me, there's two relationships. It's those that are essential and they're Christians, and you fellowship with them, you have good friendship. And those that are lost, and you want to do everything you can to draw them close.
It really is a huge perspective shift when you realize, coming from doing all these good things at church, doing all these good Christian duties and just doing everything, to realizing that God's calling you to something really, really simple.
Yeah.
It's a life of obedience.
Yes.
And not only will he call you to that great task, which is a task, it's hard work, but he's also giving you the strength, the ability, and the tools to do that. So we don't have any reason to worry or stress out about, am I doing enough, or is what I'm doing, as long as I'm obeying, is what I'm doing effective? Because we're not the ones who are in the driver's seat.
Right.
We're obeying, and the reason we obey is not so that this great thing, this plan, this battle plan will be fulfilled. It's because we love God. That is our motivation. We don't have to stress out about, if I don't do this children's ministry puppet show thing, that somehow God's will for whoever is not going to come to fruit. It will. It will. We need to obey him because we love him. And do we have anything to close out with?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
We did it.
We did. Yay.
we covered it.
All right.
Well, I'm impressed, guys. Good job.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. So stay tuned for next week. We'll have a fresh new episode for you, and it will be on a topic that we haven't discovered yet.
Yeah. We've probably discovered it.
We're super prepared here.
We just done so much decluttering.
Yeah.
Hey,
we've
we're
been
down
busy.
to nothing.
Yeah.
So
But if you have any suggestions,
send them on. Engage FAQ at afa.net. We'll be happy to read your suggestions and reply to you. So send them in, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you for listening.